And speaking of Cooper Kupp and speaking of Aaron Donald, did you agree with Cooper Kupp actually getting the Super Bowl MVP, or did you think a guy like Aaron Donald should have won it, or even Matt Stafford maybe?
Oh, see, that's a
Stafford's
great
picks
question.
made it, took him out for me.
Yeah.
The second one wasn't so much his fault, but that first one really torpedoed a drive, gave the Bengals a chance there in the first half. But I just thought it was Aaron Donald, right? I mean, without Aaron Donald soaking up all of that, all of those blocks, Von Miller probably doesn't have the day he does, or that entire defensive line outside of him. He had 2 sacks. He had the stop in the last play that basically was a sack, right? It ended the game. He's so good, and I feel like he deserves the trophy that says, here, you are the best player that's played in 25 years in the NFL. Obviously, Brady, that's a different thing, right? But outside of quarterbacks, I really do think Aaron Donald is the best player I've ever seen.
He and Cooper Kupp both kind of did very similar things in this game in regards to when they came on, when it was most important. Like Aaron Donald played a ferocious second half. He got into that skirmish on the sideline, came up pissed off, and then had a dominant performance the rest of the game. Cooper Kupp comes in the back end of the fourth quarter, has 5 receptions on the final drive to be able to get them down the field to score a touchdown. In essence, both of them were MVP caliber players when it counted the most. So I think either of them could have deserved it.
But you brought up Cooper Kupp. Like, is this the most meteoric rise from a skill position player ever? I mean, he was in the league 4 years, I guess 5, because he tore his ACL that 1 year. So he didn't really play much. No, 4 years. They tore it halfway through the season. But then comes in this year and wins the Triple Crown, has the best playoff season for any receiver ever. You know, arguably the MVP of the league when you look at the entire season, regular season and postseason. And where did that come from? Guy had 900 yards last year. Kind of looked like the second best receiver on that team. So I want to talk about surprises. That whole Cooper Kupp story is pretty wild to me.
Do you have anything else to add about that, Ethan?
Yeah, no, I thought that Cooper Kupp, I mean, I've talked multiple times about how it's the best individual wide receiver season that I think most anyone has ever seen. He had the Triple Crown, was exceptional in all facets of being a wide receiver. A lot of people, one thing that he had always been talked about, he was a really phenomenal route runner, and he always had good hands and had the ability to make a big play anytime the ball was near him. He just needed a quarterback that could really open up his ability to run routes. You know, with Goff's a fine quarterback. He can start in the NFL, but he's limited in his capability and talent to be able to really expand that playbook. Whereas Stafford has so much natural talent and ability that he can come in, really open up that downfield passing attack, let Cooper Kupp run a lot of intermediate routes where all he needs is 1 second of separation and the ball's right in his hand as he turns his head, because that quarterback's so good at timing and getting it to his guys. So that was the missing key for me in Cooper Kupp's. To answer your question, Smith, it's like he just needed a quarterback who was really able to bring the best out of him, and he sure did. And I think he did that for a lot of the guys. Like UC Odell had such a great back end of the year playing for the Rams. He was in the end zone all the time. I think that Matt Stafford knew how talented of a piece he was and really took advantage of that fact.
Yeah, I was just going to say Kupp is absolutely yoked. Did you see him in the Kobe jersey at the parade? He is cut, dude. He's running through arm tackles all season.
Baller.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I agree with what you said, Ethan, about Cooper Kupp. I think why he was able to transform to be one of the best receivers in the league. And I don't know, he might be the best receiver in the league. I'm not sure. I still think probably a healthy DeAndre Hopkins is the best. But I think the reason why Cooper Kupp had such a successful season is because he finally had a great quarterback. Like Jared Goff is solid, but he has to have a good team around him. And I think with how good Matt Stafford was, and no one really realized it until he left Detroit, only really Detroit fans knew how good Stafford was. But I think, just like I said, he had to have a quarterback like Stafford so he could finally transform into one of the best receivers in the league. And I think him and Stafford had one of the best seasons since 2011 when Stafford and Calvin Johnson had so many yards together. So, I mean, I think the whole reason why Cooper Kupp transformed to a mediocre receiver, he was probably solid before that, but I think he's now considered a top 3 receiver just because of how good of a year he had.